what video game should I play today? Should I play Spider-Man? Nah. Star Wars Battlefront? Nah, this is a pretty dumb choice too. Although it's a pretty good game, I'm not gonna lie. Or what about Star Wars Rogue Squadron? Nah. I'm in the mood for RPGs. I know! I'll review Final Fantasy IX. Ah, here it is! Final Fantasy IX! Ooh. One of my favorite Final Fantasy games. Yes, I shall review this game. Oh heck yeah! This modern Final Fantasy game is really good, honestly. I enjoy this game quite a bit. But you know what? There is actually a different Final Fantasy game that I truly enjoy quite a bit. What could that be? Final Fantasy IX for the PlayStation 1. A game that was developed by Square Enix and came out back in the year 2000. Honestly, this is actually the first Final Fantasy game that I ever played, honestly. And I enjoyed this game quite a bit, honestly. So, what are my thoughts and my opinions on Final Fantasy IX? Well, find out in the next edition of RedThunderGaming's reviews. Let's get this review started, shall we? When I think of really good Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy IX comes to mind. When I first played Final Fantasy IX, I had such an enjoyable experience playing this game. And if I were to compare this game to the other Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy IX truly has to be one of the best in the series. The battle mechanics are excellent in this game, and the story and other aspects of this game were great as well. Also, Final Fantasy IX has 4 discs, so when you complete a certain part of the game on one disc, you have to progress and go through the story on another disc. To be honest, the development of Final Fantasy IX was pretty interesting. Final Fantasy IX has such an interesting development. Development on the game actually began before they finished developing Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII had a different tone and a feel and story and characters that made it feel quite different compared to the other Final Fantasy games before it. The developer Hironobu Sakaguchi wanted this game to have the tone and the feel of an original Final Fantasy game, and he even states that this game is his favorite Final Fantasy game in the series. This game did pretty well for the most part. Most fans do speculate if this is the best Final Fantasy game, and to me that is completely subjective, but I can't deny that this is a damn great game. Final Fantasy IX really has some interesting boss battles. I need to take a break and get a Mocha Blast. Give me a second. Yay, Mocha Blast is right here. Time to continue playing some Final Fantasy IX. Oh heck yeah, this boss battle is really good. What? What the heck just happened? Did I win or did I lose? Ugh, this must be a story-driven boss battle. I am going to explain the story of Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX takes place in a world called Gaia. The game starts off with a group of bandits called Tantalus. Their goal is to kidnap the princess of Alexandria. This is where we finally get to know our main characters of the story, and I will admit, each character had awesome personality traits. The Steiner Knight tries to protect the princess from the group of bandits, but their plan doesn't go through as promised, and the game's centers around these groups of characters, and I like this because throughout the entire game, we get to see some awesome dialogue with Vivi, Princess Garnet, the Steiner Knight, and Zidane. I really enjoyed the story in this game, and I liked how throughout the entire game you saw some awesome interactions with these characters, and seeing them overcome their challenges and obstacles made the story all the more entertaining. I really enjoyed the story of this game, and it is truly an awesome story. Okay, I am going to explain the gameplay of Final Fantasy IX. The gameplay of Final Fantasy IX is very good. Now, this is a role-playing video game, meaning that you progress through the story and your characters level up and become stronger. I will admit that the amount you grind in this game is a moderate amount. There were only a few rare instances where I truly had to be powerful enough for the next areas ahead, but to be honest, the boss fights are pretty fun and straightforward for the most part. I also liked exploring different towns as well, and also upgrading my character's stats with stronger weapons made it all the more enjoyable. Customizing your character has always been a common thing in the Final Fantasy series, and this game is no different. Now you have a party cast, and each one has specific attacks, special attacks, and other attributes as well. And I truly feel that this game has such fun battle mechanics, awesome customization, and being able to explore this massive world makes it all the more enjoyable. The gameplay in Final Fantasy IX is truly awesome. What are my final thoughts about Final Fantasy IX? Final Fantasy IX is truly one of my favorite Final Fantasy games in the series, next to Final Fantasy VII. This game is truly incredible. This game is exactly what a Final Fantasy game should be. A game with an incredible story, a game with amazing gameplay, and a game with memorable boss battles and a huge world to visit. Every Final Fantasy game always has a different feel and tone, and some games have themes that are somewhat different compared to what made Final Fantasy what it was in the first place, but honestly, whenever I play Final Fantasy IX, I truly feel it has all the elements of what a Final Fantasy game should truly be, and that is why this is my second favorite Final Fantasy game in the entire series. I give this game a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching this review, guys. I will see you guys next time.